Let's get.
G'day, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Sketch Biz. My name is Lauren. A show where I pretend to know what I'm doing and you guys pretend to believe me. Well, I've got a very prolific guest with me today, someone who I believe has been quite influential on my career over the past 2 years or so, discovering him through Instagram. I would like to welcome the amazing Shawn Crystal. Hello.
Hello. You're giving me way too much credit. It's so weird to hear you say stuff like that.
Well, it's true. Honestly, it is true because I don't know. I think I stumbled across your work. I think it was like you were doing one of those acrylic washes. It's like a new technique that you were trying as like a base, and you popped up on I don't know, Reel or whatever. And from there, I was just like, this guy knows his shit. It's just. I don't know. It's I gravitate to a lot of people who just like naturally, I don't know, create their own style that seems way more organic. Whereas a lot of the styles that I do follow aren't looking like organic, if that makes sense. But I don't know.
Yeah.
You're true to yourself. And I think that's something that probably was what I gravitated towards.
If there's one thing I am, it's definitely that. It's definitely that. To 100%. My advantages and disadvantages, it's who I am.
Now, whether you know Shawn or not, you, aka INKPULP, which I love that tag and name.
Thank you.
You have like a huge list of accomplishments under your belt. Comic books, but not only that, you are now a tattoo artist. You also just released your INKPULP Cyan book, and that's heading out to people as well. You got, like I said, the podcast, which you've got such a huge list of wonderful guests that come on. Do you ever just stop and go like, like I'm doing this? Like,
it's funny because as you're saying this and you're like, he's accomplished all these things. I'm just in the zone of doing.
Yeah.
And I haven't, like, I stopped all the time when things weren't working to be like, you're just failing at everything, Shawn. But what happened was things started working. And then because they were working, I got busier than I ever imagined a human being could be. And I'm just doing, like, I'm just getting through each day. But there are times more lately where something will hit me and I'll be like, wow, like the podcast, like that's a thing. Like people watch that. That's wild. And I don't know. I don't know. I mean, we're just doing what we do and we've stuck to it and I guess done it long enough that it started like catching a few people here and there and you keep going and eventually those few people are more people.
Yeah. And then it just sort of shocks you where you're at. I think that's probably because you guys have just naturally just done it, right? Like it's just felt like something that you wanted to do, needed to do, and you didn't really think like, I don't know whether this is something that you did think about, like an end goal or whatever, but it just felt like it's something that you just needed to do, right?
No, in fact, I was thinking about this yesterday. So I started a podcast. The first incarnation of my podcast was called INKPULP Audio, and there was no video component to it. And I did that. That's probably about 15 years old now. So I've been podcasting for a long time. It was something I started out of a frustration, a few reasons. One was a frustration with working. I was running the sequential art department at Scot in Atlanta. I was the department chair and I was teaching in it, and I was exclusive at Marvel. And I was doing I was just working nonstop, and I was just kind of like, my career was kind of just stuck in this middle where like I wasn't trying to break in. I was in, but I wasn't able to like get on the top tier books and make money that could support me in a comfortable way. And so I was like, I don't know what else I can do. I mean, I'm trying to use social media. This is way back in the early days of Instagram, and
when it was good.
It was different. Yeah, well, it was different. It was just different. And I was just sitting there working, and I was listening to podcasts like they were new. I remember like Mark Maron's WTF probably was like at episode 80. And there was a few other comedian podcasts that I would listen to, but I listened to Maron's podcast, and I would almost like when he was just in the early days, he was just interviewing comedians, and it felt like me talking to my artist friends because they all have stories and comic book artists. Like it felt like there was a real crossover there, and I was like, these are conversations I always have at cons. Like I'm not like a entertain a group type of person.
Yeah.
I'm more of a like one-on-one, have a deep talk and like get to know a person type person.
Yeah.
So I have this natural conversational ability in me. And I was like, let me just record these conversations when I go to cons. And so that's what I did. And there was no video or audio component to it. And I was like, maybe this will get me to be more well known. Like more people will see my work through this. And it, like everything I was trying, I mean, I was talking to my wife yesterday and it was, she was like, well, look, it's amazing what you've done. I was like, I don't know if amazing is the right word because all I did was try everything I could and fail at everything I could until I ran out of things that I could try that would fail and started figuring out of those failures what I could tweak and turn and make work. And I think that's what people miss when you look at someone successful. I think they miss the road that got that whoever that person is there.
100%.
Because it's a lot of mistakes. It's a lot of like falling on your face. So where were we? Where was I going with all this? What was the initial question? See, I'll get rambling and I'll lose track.
But that's it. That's the essence of it.
Right. So what happened was COVID hit. Like a few things happened. I was gaining more popularity as an artist, just to the sheer will of sticking to it and getting better. But I wasn't like catching fire. And then a lot of my friends were catching fire and a lot of artists I knew were catching fire. So it became harder and harder to say, hey, after the con, let's go record an episode and then we could go to dinner, because everyone had like, I have to go to a DC dinner or my editor is doing this or I was invited this. And it became really difficult to wrangle people.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, that won't work. And my thing then was, and this is kind of like shows you my love of craft is always been a part of me. I never wanted to record through the internet. I always wanted to record in person. These were very personal, deep conversations where people really expose themselves, myself included. And I was like, I've been interviewed at the time. This video wasn't a thing. So at the time I had been interviewed for podcasts and such. And I'm on my computer just like with a microphone and earbuds, but no camera. And I'm looking at
like talking to a
emails,
wall.
answering questions. Yeah. And it was just so detached. And I was like, the one thing I liked about podcasting was how authentic it felt, how in the digital age, this actually feels real and very human. And so I was like, if I'm going to do this, the craft of it is going to be, it's got to be in person. And so then I would take like little breaks, and then I was like, let me do seasons. And I had an idea where I was like, well, what if I just outside of a con travel to areas where clusters of artists live? And I remember the first one I did was Portland, Oregon, and I did a GoFundMe for it, which paid for the trip. It was awesome. The community was great.
That's sick.
It paid for my trip. I stayed at Jim's, so it wasn't like it cost a lot. I was just crashing on Jim's couch. I didn't need a hotel, but on that trip, I remember I got Brian Michael Bendis, I got Nick Darrington, I got Bob Schreck, I got Tony Chastain, Tyler, I got a whole bunch of people. And I was like, this is what I'll do from now on. And I came back and I released it as a season. And then COVID hit. And I was like, I can't do that now. But the blessing or the silver lining of that is I was forced to get a camera, because the way we were surviving financially was my art dealer would have these like streams, like 3 to 5 days a week, where like we would go on and we'd be working on art and people would get commissions from us. And I remember I was using my phone on the first one, and it kept going out, and my mic, like it just stopped working constantly. And I was getting so frustrated, and Eric could hear how frustrated I was getting.
Of course he did.
Like 2 days, Yeah. So 2 days later, he had bought me a webcam and sent it to me, which was really sweet of him. Eric's always been very, very, very supportive of the podcast, but anything I do, but anything that helps my career, Eric is in. And so then I was like, well, I have a camera now. Let me try. It was a cheap webcam, but it wasn't bad. And I was like, let me try like doing like drawing streams, but not live, like recording me and some artists drawing and hanging out and talking shit. And then that was cool. And I got a bunch of guests on it. This is all during COVID. Got a bunch of cool guests on that. But I was like, I can't do the interviews. I was like, I felt like what worked about the podcast before was the depth of the interview. And I was like, I can't do that while I'm drawing because I can't like connect and think. And yeah. So I was like, this doesn't work either. And I was talking to Eric. I was like, I just don't know what to do. He's like, let's get on camera. Let's talk about it. And we recorded us talking about it. And he was like, this is the show now. Like, this is great. Like just me, you, and talking. And then one day he was like, hey, let's invite Matteo on. I was like, oh yeah, that'll be great. So we invited Matteo on, and Matteo just never wanted to leave, and we never wanted him to leave. And it was like, oh, okay, this is the show now. And it was just going to be friends hanging out, and people started liking it. And then people we knew were like, hey, can I come hang with you guys? We're like, yeah, come on. And it was like, all right, we have guests now. And then it was like gaining some steam.
One
like
after the other.
after,
Bam,
after,
yeah.
12 years, I'm like, wait a minute, it's starting to really work now. And I was like, and I had gotten an email early on when it was just me and Eric, or a DM from some kid who was like, hey, I love your work. I love Eric's work. I'm a professional podcast editor. I work for a company. I'd love to like work on your show. And I was like, look, and he was offering it for free. And I was like, I really appreciate that. I cannot take that from you, but I'll tell you what, when I'm in a place where I can hire you, I'm gonna reach out. And it was probably a year later. I remember we were like me, Eric, and Matteo, and Jim was coming on the show pretty frequently at this point too. We're like, we need somebody. Like, I think it's time. We need help. Like, we can't do this just ourselves. It's becoming too much. So I went to the DMs and I DM'd that guy, and I didn't hear back. And I went and looked at his page, and he hadn't used that Twitter account in like shortly after we messaged the first time. And so like I put out like a call. I was like, hey, if anyone knows any podcast editors out there, I need some help. And I had a few people reach out, and I was talking to them in DMs, and I kept checking that Twitter account. Like I'd sent a DM like, hey, I'm ready to use you. And he had just happened to go into that account and was like, oh dude, I'm never in this account, but I'm glad I am. And I was like, here's my email me. And that was Jamie. And so Jamie and I talked, and I was like, how much? Like, well, I was like, well, what do you think we should, like, what do you think we need? What should we do? And he's like, I'll do a show and a social media reel for X amount of dollars. And we were doing one show a week. And I was like, between the 3 to 4 of us, if we're splitting this cost, this seems like a good investment. It wasn't too much.
Yeah.
And it didn't hurt. And then, working with Jamie for like 2 weeks, you're like, this kid is awesome.
He knows
we loved
what he's
him.
doing.
Like he was just one of us. He's also like, he's just one of us. Like,
well, I was just about to say, he's
right
part of the show now. Like, you guys just go, oh, let's get him on. Let's get him on.
Well, and Jamie and I, we became friendly, and he was like, my dream is to leave this company I work for and just be the podcast editor of comics. I was like, Jamie, I think that dream could happen very fast.
Very much.
Let me just let me put my ear to the ground. And I just started sending people his way. And it was like 3 months later, he left his job, and he's just working for himself doing this now. So that felt really good. Like I was like, our show has enough steam behind it that we can talk to, like, other people are asking us, who's doing your editing? And I'm like, oh, it's this kid. Let me hook you up with him. And he got enough people that he could leave. And then I had pitched the idea to Jim about a live show before me and Eric started recording our podcast, because I was doing the drawings podcasts with guests, and Jim was on it all the time. It was like me and Jim and Tommy Lee, and we're gonna ink Mike Mignola today, or me and Jim and Klaus and Tim Sale are gonna come on. But it was Jim and I a lot because we were good buddies. And I was like, dude, why don't we make this a show? Like, why don't we do this? And he was like, I'm so busy, man. I don't know if I could commit to that. It just overwhelmed him. And it was right after Ed Piskor had passed. Jim was like, I need to get out of town. And he came to Atlanta just to be near me and have some fun. And we had a great time. And right from here, he was going to Ed's memorial service. So he just wanted like something light and fun. So we did that. And our friend Ali was here. And I said it again. I was like, Jim, we should do a drawing stream. And Ali, our friend Ali, was like, yeah, you guys would crush it doing that. And I think, and this is also when Jim decided to do Defective Comics. It was like, excuse me, that same trip where he was like, I need to do my own parodies and I need to start a show with Shawn. And so that's how INKPULP Live was born. So I was like, I'm doing one a week with Matteo and Eric. And I was like, I don't have time, but this is something I can't not do.
I often think about it, like even just doing this, just recording, I don't know, I record whenever someone has the capacity to be able to jump on, but then jumping on and then doing the editing and the promotional work and stuff like that, even just for one show. So I often think about the pressure that it does put on you. I do know that a lot of people really appreciate it, but is there ever like a moment where you're just like, oh, maybe I just need to pull back a little bit, even though it does obviously feed you guys and others,
Yeah, no, I live in that moment. I would love to pull back, but what I won't do is pull back on the shows. I feel like they're the backbone of everything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I made a plan before COVID. Marvel and DC just stopped calling, and like for no reason. Although I think I understand, I know the Marvel reason, but I'm not sure. And I was like, I have no work, and like I would reach out to editors I was friends with and had worked with for years. And I wouldn't even get a response. Like I was like, can't you have the decency to be like, Shawn, I'm sorry, I don't have anything, but if something comes my way, you're first in mind. But just silence.
Just the acknowledgement, right?
Yeah. And there were like writers who like I helped like kind of on the come up who now were big shots, and reached out to them and just got kind of brushed off. And I was just really, really angry and at the industry. I was like, this is some bullshit. I was like, I'm not going to give these companies that power over me again.
You don't play that game.
I was like,
no.
if they can just, So, and that's what I was like, I need to make a plan. And I made a plan. I was like, I'm going to learn to tattoo. I'm going to build INKPULP instruction because I like teaching and I'm good at it, but I didn't want to work for a school again. I wanted to do it on my terms. I was like, I'll launch INKPULP instruction. I will get this podcast into good form. I will kickstart an art book. I will work on my own books. And INKPULP instruction was going to be like my breadwinner. Like that was the plan. And that did not work. It didn't do horribly, but I was like, I can't support myself. I mean, I put COVID, I did two things. I built INKPULP instruction and I learned to paint. And the one that I thought was going to be my like save my life and give me the freedom to work on my own books and give me some financial security and comfortability, I thought that would be INKPULP instruction. Like I shot instructional videos with Sean Murphy, with Tommy Lee Edwards, with Jeff DeCal, with Jim. I mean, so many people that are, I flew to them. We filmed their studios. I mean, these are amazing videos. And then I did a bunch of lessons on my own. And I was like, dude, I'm going to be able to sell these for $100 a pop. And, if I sell 10 a week, I'm going to be crushing it. But that's when COVID was going on and that market was saturated. And I was like trying to be like, hey, I'm over here. I got stuff. But, and at the time, like Jake's SVS, Jake Parker's school was crushing it. But I was just late. I was late to the game. I mean, I was ahead of the curve when I started it, but by the time I was releasing it, I didn't see COVID coming, and it came, and so then that put me behind. And But what ended up working was my painting, because after COVID, I went to like my first Comic-Con, and Marvel Snap came up to me the minute it opened. They were at my table, like, we want you.
We've
And I'm
seen
like,
you. Yeah.
yeah, I was like, do you know who I am? Like, I don't get it. They're like, no, we follow you. You're exactly what we want on this game. And I was like, yeah, all right, whatever. And I was like, cool. I mean, I was nice, but in my head, I was like, this is nothing. This is, you get lots of people at cons, I'm sure you know, come up with grand plans, but they
Because
told
that's
me how
when, were
much
they
they were going to,
quite relatively new back then?
they hadn't even launched the game yet.
That's right. Because
And that's what,
they
yeah,
were saying what they wanted to produce and how they'd look after you. And I do remember that conversation that you two
yeah,
had. Yeah.
yeah. And so I was like, listen, I was like, sure, get in touch with me.
Mm.
And I got home from New York, and I had a contract in my inbox with the figure they told me, which sounded high. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, there's no way you could pay that much.
It's good.
And it was all there. And I asked for more, and they met me in the middle, so I even got more. And I was like, oh, okay, well, I wasn't going to do freelance, but I kind of don't have a choice. But also, this is kind of cool. I don't have to work for Marvel, but I get to draw all the fun Marvel shit. And I'm not doing interiors, so it's not going to like destroy me to like in terms of time and energy. And I get to learn to paint better. So I was like, this is great. So that ended up working for me. And then that painting got me a lot of attention. And then we started the podcast with Eric, and then the live shows. Everything I had built up. And then at this time, I'm starting to like learn to tattoo. And then like life teaches you things. Like, I built Ink Pulp Instruction, like I said, to make me a good amount of money, and it didn't. But the podcast alerted Jake Parker to who I was and to what Ink Pulp Instruction is and my background. And at this time, he's like, I want to teach a comics class, but I need someone to teach it with me. And so Jake reaches out. So I was like, okay, Ink Pulp Instruction did work. It just worked in a different way than I ever
Yeah.
planned or anticipated.
Isn't it funny that it still came straight back to craft, right? So the
Always.
simplicity of just painting. And that's what sort of created this snowball effect. And
Yeah,
crazy, absolutely crazy.
I know.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny, when I was designing, well, not designing, I was working with my designer on the new Ink Pulp logos, which are probably 2 years old now. The whole branding kit I now have, where like I have cyan, like all of that. I remember I made a post and I ended it with "Keep Craft Alive." And because I was talking to my designer about like he Jay Gonzo is a comic book artist, but he used to work in advertising design, in branding, and he was like, you need a statement of purpose. What are people getting behind? This isn't you, this is Ink Pulp. Ink Pulp is bigger than you. And what is
What's your tagline?
also, what is the purpose of this? Like, what are people going to care
Like a mission
about?
statement.
And right. But in deeper than, a mission statement, sure. But also, it lets people know what Ink Pulp is really about. So I told him I wanted to find this because I was listening to a book on marketing, and the book was like, create a cause. And that way the cause is bigger than the person. So if the person takes a misstep, the cause is still fine, and the people are there for the cause, not the person, and they'll be more forgiving. Because if you make the brand all about you, and then, like, you get canceled, or someone says something, or you draw a bad issue, then everything hurts. I was like, so I want that. Like, I could see how that would be cool, because it also gives me a purpose. Also, I don't like it to just be about me. Like, I'm here for a bigger purpose, and that's what my teaching is always about. It's about, gaining knowledge and passing knowledge. And I was like, I don't want it to just be about me. And I was trying out things, and I just wrote "Keep Craft Alive" on a post, and I was like, I think that might be it. And the 2 minutes after I posted it, my designer called. He's like, you did it. That's it. I was like, really? He was like, yeah. And so we talked about it. I was like, yeah, that's it.
Lock it in.
And so that's where that came from. But it was just like, it's just true to who I am. Like, And I remember at the time I had a T Public and I stopped. I was like, because I ordered some, I was like, this stuff is crap.
Yeah.
Like, I can't have INKPULP making crap. So that's when and my goal was always to have like cool merch, like clothing and stuff, but I wanted like streetwear. I wanted something nice and like interesting, and like I wanted craft, what I call craft apparel. And so it took me a while, but now I'm doing that. So all these things ended up working. And the funny thing is it's all been a path to get me to be able to draw the comics I want to draw, because I didn't get into comics to work for Marvel and DC. I liked them, but I got into comics to write and draw my own material. And I came at a time where that was like almost unheard of. Like Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird were doing it, Dave Lapham, the Hernandez brothers. But, you know, I was like, I mean, even the Hernandez brothers had a publisher behind them. But I was like, I don't know how to get a publisher behind me. And I was like, my favorite things to read right now are Hellboy and Sin City. And I was like, okay, so what you do. And then this is also image boom time. I was like, everyone went and made a name for themselves at these publishers and left. And then they had the notoriety to do their own thing. So that was just the path.
Yeah.
So that's why I was gunning to work at Marvel and DC. But my goal was always just to do my own thing.
Yeah.
Always.
This industry is so malleable and also just evolves consistently. And ever since COVID, I think that's sort of like skyrocketed quite substantially.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I even see it in Australia. Australia is quite heavy set on indie titles. Like we actually have so many conventions in every state that only allows indie titles. Like you have to be a self-publisher to be able to get a table and to also share. There's one in Perth, PCAF, and literally that you can't apply unless you've self-published. And you go there and you just see the amount of talent and the amount of passion, I guess. And
Yeah.
I feel like Australia's kind of gone in that direction already because we just don't have faith in the cons. And also I don't know whether we have trouble getting, to the bigger publishers over in the States or whatever, but I feel like that's a non-issue now given the internet's so accessible and stuff. But we're all on that momentum together and having things like the podcast. And it's so like you grab your phone, you put it up, you start recording. People are doing that. They're creating their own path, and that in itself is craft as well, right? So
totally.
Kudos to you.
I mean, thank you. I mean, I think we just like finally from trying so many things, we just hit something at the right time with the right people that it connected. But you're asking if I ever stop and be like, I need to slow it down. Now that I'm like, so I had the path, the design
And
path,
Yep.
and then I had like, like I got to build all this stuff. And then when it's working, I can do my own books. So it got to a bottleneck. Like I remember looking into the bottleneck where everything was almost done. And it was like, I got to get everything finished and start launching as I'm finishing. And it was all these things. And that was last year. And that was what I thought was like, this is insane. But I did it. And now that like it's opening, like I'm not through it, but I'm at the end of the opening. And it's like, I can see like soon I'll be able to be like, all right, here's like, I built all this stuff. It's all working, but now I need to like choose how I'm going to make it work for me better, because I put all of me into everything all the time. And I was like, I need to figure out ways to get time back now.
Do you ever feel
so
that
I
little
do
like
have that
niggle when you're like, what can I let go of? And do you feel comfortable letting go of anything? Because to be honest, you are such like one of the most biggest faces that is INKPULP, right? Like started with you and you're still so prominent with it. Is it going to be hard to be able to do that so you can focus on something for you?
it's let go.
Not let go, just
my whole
hand off.
well, like the thing is, it's people like us and who we are. It's like I can't hand off a newsletter because that's my voice, and I won't use AI to write my newsletter. So it's more about like I have my daughter working for me one day a week. It's more about what can I train her to handle, like scheduling the podcast. Like that would save me a lot of time.
reaching
but
out to
I'm
guests and stuff.
still,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I can just like, we can like, she can be in the chat with all of us where we talk about it, and we can be like, Zoe, we're going to reach out to this guest and connect them with you, get them scheduled, and like, just to have help like that. But I want to be like, I'm paying her 1 day a week now, but I need to be able to pay her more. So I need things to do better for me financially, which they're starting to. Uh, so yeah, I mean, it got to a point where like a year ago, I was like, wait a minute, InkPulp's like a real business now.
Mm-hmm.
And I started thinking, oh my God, I could leave my kids something that like they could make their own and build, and this could be like a generational thing.
How cool.
So I think, yeah, I think about that a lot. Like, so I want Zoe to understand all of it so that she can, when she starts, you know, doing more and more and getting more involved, and one day it's hers and my son's. But yeah, I don't want to stop doing the podcast. I don't want to stop doing things like these things. Like, we all agree on this. Like, when we talk about how busy we are, it's like, but dude, the show is like the backbone of it all. Like
It
the
also
live
gives back
show and
to
the
you guys as
podcast.
well. You can see that it's feeding you guys too. Like you love hanging out and
Without a
chatting
doubt.
and
I
getting
love
stuff
it.
off your chest, you know?
Love it. Love it. Yeah. For me, the hard part is the scheduling, because you don't just gotta like find a date for the guest. Like, you've got 8 guests or 10 guests at a time lined up in the near future, and then one has to
Mm,
back out, and then you're waiting on this one to confirm a date, and then like the week before you have to email them like, hey, don't forget it's next week. If they're like, oh shit, I forgot next week's really bad for me, then you're rescheduling again. And if they're like, yeah, I got it, it's like, what equipment do I need? Then it's a series of emails like, if make sure you have this, make sure you have that. And then it's letting the Discord know, hey, we're going to be recording with this person. And you know, it's just a lot. So yeah, I guess I think about like, if I it's hard to know what's gonna like right now, everything financially is working to the point where when they all are working together, I'm doing good.
yeah. That's
But
awesome.
none of them are doing great to the point where I can be like, all right, I can take a breather now, because I'm still building. Like for example, the Ink Pulp merch holiday store just opened. Like, that was a lot of work getting it ready, and now
Mm,
it's a lot of work fulfilling those orders while fulfilling a Kickstarter. But like, I had to get that store open and running because my account was getting low, and I was like, I want to do this, and I ordered all this merch that I have. But had I had been like, I don't know, let's say like the podcast exploded, and we were getting like 100,000 views, and now our podcast money is big and we're like comfortable, probably wouldn't have needed to get that store done. I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to take my time. I'll open it early next year.
yeah.
So that's the hard part for me. And like taking commissions before cons, like, I'm like, I really don't want to, because I don't have the time to, and it just makes the every day so stressful. So stuff like that, I'd like to back off on to get time back.
Yeah.
You know, I'm early in tattooing, so for as early as I am, I'm surprised at how busy I am, but I'm not like booked. So if I was booked, then I wouldn't have to worry about like promoting myself every day to say, hey, I'm tattooing. Little things like that, I think will give time back when they're working at a higher level. And then if I can pay someone to handle more of the administrative side of things, and maybe part of that is me, like, I need to let go a bit. I built this all from such a desperate place, and when it all started working, I'm holding on tight. Like, I
Yeah.
don't want this to get fucked up.
Yeah.
And I mean, the good thing is I've got the most amazing friends who I trust with my life. So it's like, it's never a concern on my end about anything with them. Like, I know I can lean on them. Like when I got sick, that was the only live show I've ever missed a couple weeks ago. And I just run myself down too much and caught a cold. And I just need a day of rest, and I think I'll be okay tomorrow. But if I do the show tonight, I'm gonna knock myself down hardcore. But I was like, Jim and Jamie, they got it. Like,
Go boys.
I don't need to be there for it to work.
Yeah.
I hated missing it, and I felt bad asking that of Jim, but I also know if Jim needed it, I would do it no problem.
Yeah.
So having a team, I think, really helps. Like, the thing about comics, as you know, is it's so solitary.
Oh my God.
And
So
I think,
solitary.
yeah, so I think like teaming up with my friends, because the other thing is I can say like anywhere Matteo and I went at a con, whoever we were with, they loved us. Like we were just fun to be around and people loved us. I was like, that's like, and Jim too. And when Eric was around, we had even more fun because Eric could play the straight guy, like, calling us out for being idiots. So I was like, people like our genuine personalities at a time when everyone was afraid to be themselves during COVID because cancel culture went nuts and people are afraid to say anything. And I always believed like, say whatever you want. If you're not coming from an actual place of hate, I think people understand it's a joke. And so like, I remember even to this day, people are like, I can't believe what you guys get away with. I'm like,
but you're not being malicious though, right? So that's the difference.
no,
and
hold
I think
on. Sorry. My phone rang and it cut my earbuds off. Go ahead.
Oh, that's it. People crave authenticity now. I think we came from a place, especially during COVID, people went so hard, like incredibly hard. And just like you said, the cancel culture, no one could say anything without getting butthurt about it.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's still around now. I think when I mentioned like people were already commenting, well, I've got 9 episodes. Like I'm only just fresh, right? I'm already getting people telling me what to do.
Yeah.
Like people have gotten to the point that they're just a little bit sick of that because it was so like thick. People coming on thick. People just want authenticity. You're a brand yourself. Like people go like, how can I succeed in this day and age of comics? And it is about self-branding. And I don't know, I think that's why you guys have done such a good job, is because people actually see you and what it takes and the grind and the shit end of it that is behind the camera.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah, we're very honest about everything we've been through. And I also think it's good people see, us disagree. Like that's important. Like, like we'll have different opinions on things, or I'll say something and Eric will be like, I don't think that's true. And then we talk about it. Like, but yeah, early on when we would say some irreverent stuff, like people loved it. They're like, oh, thank God, like a breath of fresh air. You're like, but it's cost us. There is an editor at a publisher that will not hire one of us because of something said on a podcast that was totally benign, but this person has decided they're offended and will not hire one of us because of it. And it's like, we built, I mean, honestly, like we've all built a path towards independence. So us speaking freely also came from a place of, I don't need to bow to you.
No.
I don't need, you don't have the power to make me censor myself anymore.
And isn't that like
that was freeing?
That shows, because we do hear a lot these days that the bigger publishers aren't always the be all and end all anymore. And we're in a position where we can be like, well, I'm sorry, but that doesn't change anything for me at the moment,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think, trying to remember, one of us has spoken very openly, I think on the podcast about, every time Marvel contacts them to do some work, they're like, yeah, but you got to pay me better than you paid me. And here's what I want. And then they're like, oh, we can't afford that. And then they come back like 3 years later, like, okay, we can afford that. And he's like, yeah, but it's 3 years later. So now it's got to be more. And they just won't pay him what he's worth. And it's just like, okay, I don't need you. Yeah. And I don't need to work for you. So I'm fine.
I think through maturity, you learn that, and I would, if it was something that I was to recommend to someone who wants to try and, get ahead in this industry, not only do you need a thick skin, but you need to realize that it's a them issue. If they've got an issue, it's a them issue, because you're just serving your purpose to yourself, right? Like don't put yourself down, don't fake to yourself, and
Right.
these choices that you make are for you and to get ahead, right? So like, yeah, you're going to hurt. People are going to get butt hurt. It's not going to.
Yeah, and but also, the culture of comic book artists I'm guessing, and maybe it wasn't like this in Australia, but in the States, um, you know, like really before the internet, it was like you needed the work, so you had to be a corporate employee, like, and they weren't even corporate yet, so it wasn't hard, but you had to be an employee, and you had to like stay in good favor to stay busy, or else you wouldn't be able to afford your rent. But I think what's amazing now, and I think what we're really focused on at Ink Pulp is, let's show you all how to just pave your own way. Like, I'm 50, rebuilding myself. Like, if you're 20, you got a much easier time than I have. I have kids, I have a mortgage. Like, if you're 20 living with roommates, you've got the world by the balls. Like,
Yeah.
you can build this shit easy compared to what, like, we just did. That was never an option, and now it is. So I love, like, I'm learning it, and as I'm learning it, all of us are learning it. We're all talking about it. I
Mm.
mean, Jim's kind of like the real boss in the situation, because Jim started learning this early in his career, being such a unique artistic voice, and also being such a smart business mind. He early on started learning this, and I didn't learn it till I probably started learning it 7 years ago.
Yeah. He grabbed it by the balls and
So,
just went for it. He's like the
yeah.
amount of gumption that man has. It's, yeah,
Yeah,
very, very cool to
Jim's
watch.
he's a force of nature, just
Mm.
an absolute force.
Yeah. And going back to talking about like artistic style and artistic voices, I was talking to Louis Joyce. The podcast just went up last week, but we were talking about, unique styles and how they're more universally accepted and also wanted now. I feel like that's
Yeah,
becoming a huge thing at the moment. Like that classic
yeah,
age style of illustration, that's never going to go away. People love it. It's a nostalgic thing.
yeah,
But
yeah.
this industry's craving variety. And that drew
I
me to
think
you. But I feel like it's just like I love seeing all different artistic styles
me
now.
too.
And they're really
I feel
just
like we're
skyrocketing.
in Yeah, I agree. I feel like right now, creatively, comics is the most exciting I've ever seen it.
Mm,
There's so much like so many different voices doing so many different things. I love it, and a lot of people are going independent, and I think that allows you, because I mean, honestly, like, I was more. I'm like, now like my artwork is feeling very much like me. When I was at Marvel, especially in the early years, I was trying to fit me into Marvel, and like trying to do things that maybe weren't me because it would fit better into Marvel and get me more work, and the audience would like it more. I mean, even on Batman, like, that's me, no doubt. But even on Batman, I'm doing things where I'm like, I just can't be fully me. And like, I got into comics because the artists I loved were being fully them.
yeah.
I think, like Jason Pearson was just being Jason Pearson. But then the corporations took over like Marvel and DC, and then it became more corporate, and you had to have a look. I mean, I remember when I was trying to break in, this is after the big collapse in like 98. Um, And I remember Joe Quesada decided no more cartoony art at Marvel. Not
Huh.
allowed. Everything's got to be as photorealistic as possible. And I was just like, what? Like, this is Joe Quesada. Like, that sort of Azrael book is cartoony as fuck, and I love it.
Yeah.
And and I just remember, like, my portfolios, editor after editor, like, yeah, I like what you're doing, but I can't use this
Can't
here.
put you in. Yeah. Ouch.
And I was like, yeah. But I stuck to my guns. In fact, I doubled down and went really, like, I leaned into more like a Bruce Timm look for a little while, where I was going super simple and super, super graphic and super cartoony,
Mm,
just because I was like, I don't want to make this a job. Like if I'm just drawing to do what they want me to do, then I might as well just be at a desk,
Be an animator,
because
just
it,
copy stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So, yeah, sure.
But now, yeah, I'll tell you now, DC seems to be really opening up their minds a lot to that more
They're
so,
catching
which
up
is
to
good.
us. They're listening.
Yeah, and that's what I think the community has to realize, the power in what we're all doing.
Yeah.
Like we're all being unique voices now, and that the fact that the corporations, which used to like only let you in if you looked a certain way, are now like, well, wait a minute, we're not doing well. We want to tap into what they're all doing. I think it just shows the power of the independent creator world right now.
Mm.
And I honestly I really believe we're at a point where like we don't need them. We don't need them. I mean, we with the internet, with everything we're all doing, we can build our own little cottage industries. And I remember this is a conversation Jim and I had when he was getting ready to release. This was Stone Ghost, was it? His Girl Scouts. It was either Stone Ghost or the one before it. He was like, maybe it was Stone Ghost. He was like, should I go through Image? I was like, Jim, just Kickstart it. Don't stop with the Image thing. Like just Kickstart it. I mean, Image is fine, but like they weren't doing it. They weren't bringing anything to the table to promote
you're
it,
still
to
going to
help the
have that little
sales.
puppeteer on the top, just going to slightly move you in a direction that you probably don't feel is right as well.
Yeah. And also Jim was very focused on, I won't sell as many issues. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll give you that, but you will make more money by kickstarting it. And so this was something Jim wrestled with for a while. And I think, with his Defective Comics line, he's like, yeah, this is the way. This is just the way. Because, I mean, we work night and day to get the word out about the projects we're doing, but it works. And it's a lot. Like, I think every phone call with Jim starts with, man, there's so much going on right
I'm
now.
cooked. Yeah.
And it's all of us. Yeah. But it's like, there's a bit of excitement fueling it because it's our own, but something's got to, for me at least, something's got to change in the next couple years or I'll just fry out.
I was wondering when and if that would happen soon-ish. I've been a bit absent lately because just chaos ensued family life, but like you, I feel like you're there, and it's like I'm so excited to see what you do, but it is that hard juggle of just like when is the right time, and maybe going off your trajectory from the beginning, is there a right time? Like you never really can figure it out because, like I said, this industry is just like, yeah. Anyway, but like you are a pinnacle for people to look at going off the Discord. God, that community is just like pumping, and there's just people just bouncing off each other. Not just you guys, but just like they're just like collaborating and sharing it. Like, how cool is it?
Look, I just feel like, I don't know that we did anything right to have this amazing community. I just think we were in the right place at the right time for a bunch of independent creators who were spread all over the world, that we just became a lightning rod by chance, and it attracted everyone to it.
Yeah.
And I am beyond grateful for it, and the community blows me away. I mean, none of us are like, we did this, like we created this. It's just like, wow, you guys are awesome. Like the community is like what's awesome.
Yeah. Whenever I'm feeling like
that Discord,
down in the dumps, I just jump in that Discord, right? And I just have a look through about what people are chatting about and stuff. And it just, it's puts another fire under my bum and then gets me going again, right? Like it doesn't take much. People forget that solidarity does kill a lot of your spark.
Yeah.
Totally.
Stay
involved.
And I think we inadvertently ended up building something that would help others with everything we've all struggled with for 20 plus years. And I think like, it wasn't like we said, hey, there were things where I was like, I want to help people avoid A, B, and C. But I think just by the nature of who we are and building all this, we were just like subconsciously like, let's like help let's build a place where people can help each other and lift each other up. And that's something, like I said, when things bottomed out for me and a handful of people I thought were good friends who were big name writers just were like, turn their back on me when they really could have changed my life. Like, not that they owe that to me, but just as a friend, like, well, would it suck to work together? Like, we're friends. Like, would that be so awful? You're obviously doing new projects, but I didn't like. I came into comics and I had a real tight crew of friends, and every one of them, except like maybe two, like Nick Dragata and like Chris Brunner, but every one of them, when I was one of the first ones in at Marvel. The first interview I did for a comic book news site was CBR, and I spent half my interview promoting my buddies. This is before I knew Matteo. This is before I knew Eric. And I was like, if the doors are open for me, I'm gonna do what I can to get you all in too. And a lot of them went on to like become much bigger successes. But the minute they got past me in the, I don't know, line or whatever you call it, they started treating me differently. And I was like, as a friend, that just sucks. I was like, I wasn't helping you to get something out of it. I was just helping you because that's what friends do. And I thought we'd all do that. But so I wanted to build a space around that where people could really help lift each other up. And that's what made me and Matteo and Eric and Jim all so close, was we all, from the minute we met each other, were doing everything we can to lift each other up and help each other. And that felt great. So, it's probably, I can't say it's conscious, but inadvertently we built a space where that's the means. I mean, whenever, like, I remember we were building the Discord and we were like, we should have an area where people can like say, hey, I need work, and other people can say, oh, well, try this, try that, or I'm going to do a Kickstarter and stuff like that. But yeah, the community's great.
They
Just
needed
great.
that. Well, we needed that. I'm part of it. I think I mentioned when I was talking, I've mentioned this a few times, whether it's at conventions. I think I was talking to Camilla about it. We said that we now see those people who act a bit cutthroat, and whether it's maliciously or they're just purely focused on their own success.
Yeah,
and I say this,
probably the case.
Yeah, I mean, I say this all the time.
I took it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just say all the time. It's just like, if someone's offered a job that you really want, so say, I don't know, someone has got offered Ninja Turtles and I really want that job, and so like I do what I can to try and like, get in with that. That's not the case, because you cannot offer the same thing that they do. Like, your work is completely different. You have your own individual product, right?
Exactly.
And people forget that. Like, it's not, I'm just gaining a title. I'm providing a service that is individual to me, right? So, and I think a lot of people are realizing that.
Yeah, that's very true. Another thing I always did was, when an editor would come to me for like wanting to hire me, and if I was busy and couldn't take the job or didn't feel like it was a good job for me, I would make sure I was a part of helping to find the person. So it was like, I'm going to see if one of my friends can do this. So for the editor, it was like, oh, that's awesome. You're helping me not have to search all over the place. But for my friend, I'm like, dude, if I can help you out, like, so there were a lot of people I helped get jobs. And when I was a teacher at Scott, a lot of careers I launched, like just like getting behind them and introducing the people. And when I heard there was an opportunity, I'd let them know. And so, it makes sense. There's a Discord thing for that. I mean, that's just necessary, but that's something I like to see people doing, helping each other.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with seeing your comrades thrive and get ahead, because if anybody knows how hard this industry is, it's us, right? Help where you can. Anyway, yeah.
That's.
I do want to touch on, because I'm not going to say it's a slow burn. All the work that you've done to get to the point that you're at has skyrocketed. For the younger artists that kind of want to follow suit, and they feel that pressure to go viral, and social media just like begging them for like just like more. It does help push your career, but and not it's more about chasing trends versus honing your craft. So
Yeah.
you're
So
like
what I say about
your advice
Go
on
ahead.
that in terms of like how do you balance that
Yeah.
and keeping true to that.
The way I look at social media, going viral doesn't help you at all in terms of your art business, really. I mean, I like that AI post that of the booth being shut down at Dragon Con.
That exploded.
Yeah, like I've never had a video go viral. And so all that did for me was give me headaches and nothing. I mean, there was some good that came out of it. A lot of people DM me like, "Thank you for showing that. I needed to see that. Like that helped me feel better about things." And so that's good, but it didn't help my career or anything. I would say what matters is engagement. I see people with 10,000 followers and 8,000 likes. That's where you want to be. I see people with 400,000 followers and 5,000 likes. That's not where you want to be. So I think as long as you're focused on like posting stuff that is true to you, we're past the days of like, hey, here's my art. Like those days are gone.
Yeah.
Just be able to think you're just going to show your art or show yourself like making some marks on a piece. Well, making the marks helps. I will say that. But just showing your art, you're in a sea of monster talents. And even if you are one, you're still in a sea of them. So to get recognized is next to impossible. So you have to find ways to connect with people that are gonna that want to get behind what you do. So for me, again, having that keep craft alive lets me understand what I'm posting. So if I'm gonna do a video of me drawing, I'm like, is there a lesson I could do in this? Can I give a quick lesson? Because that usually helps people and that usually does well. People want to watch it and learn. I mean, I've tried some trendy stuff like ASMR, like hearing the scratching of a pen on paper. I personally love watching calligraphy videos because it's just like it's so beautiful to watch it being made. Um, so there is something to that, like just capturing people's attention with something beautiful. But like I know people who just are like coloring book, like I don't want to say artists, but they're adult coloring book people. And they have a huge following, they make a lot of money and they're coloring books. But they're doing it in a way that's engaging people. But would you like if that's your goal to just be the coloring book person on TikTok, okay, great. But if we're comic book artists, our goal is bigger than that. Our goal is, well, we want people to read our books. Yeah, we want to tell stories and people to buy the stories we're telling. So you have to use social media as a means to get them there, as a means to get them to support you and behind you. And like at the tattoo shop, we were talking about this, and I was like, don't just show yourself tattooing. I was like, let's be fun. Like tattooing isn't just about the art, it's about the experience. So let's focus on the experience and how like people are going to want to book with us because we look like you're going to come in and have a good time. Tattoos are painful, they're intimidating. People who've never had one are, it's really intimidating. No one looks forward to it. The morning you wake up, you're like, oh, fuck, I can't wait till this is over.
I don't know about
so
I might be different there. I look forward to mine.
Do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I look forward to having it.
Yeah.
I don't look forward to the act of getting it.
The pain, yeah. It's just a part of it. But yeah, I totally, I get it.
It's not like, it just sucks. Like, it's not terrible. It just sucks. Like, that's the only way I can put it. But also, I will say, and you're a woman, women can take it much better. Much better. They have a much higher threshold for pain.
Yeah.
So, it's like, let's make fun videos, let people know this shop is a very welcoming place, and let's entertain, because funny people like also another thing I always think about is like, and this is where the podcast we really thought about was internet was just a sea of negativity. I was like, let's be fun. Like, let's just like, it doesn't have to be deep. Let's just like people are going to watch a post as like, oh man, that made me feel good.
Yeah.
That's good. So I would say don't focus on the numbers, focus on the purpose and focus on the quality. If something's not working and you're getting frustrated, it just means you're not good at it. And you have to figure out how to be good at it. I remember listening to a friend of mine who's a tattoo artist, has a podcast, and he's always like, oh, we have to do all these reels now. I hate this stuff. Blah, blah, blah. I hear this a lot. And then he's like, he was like, I post all the time and nobody sees it. And then one guy was like, well, wait a minute. Think about the commercials you see on TV. Which ones do you remember? Why do you remember them? Because they entertained you. And then think about the ones you forgot, because they didn't. And it's just that simple. Like, social media is like, people go there for entertainment. So you can use that to your advantage. But I would say make sure you understand the purpose behind it. Because if your purpose is just to entertain, those people aren't going to buy your books. Yeah, it's just then you're playing the social media game.
Yeah.
I don't play the social media game. I try to use the tool of social media to help my own game. And I did it really well for a while and have been really bad at it the past year and a half because I just don't have the bandwidth for it. Like, I had to get my social media following up to a point to get people looking at my stuff. Like, I wanted a funnel where they ended up on my newsletter. Like, that was it. But what started happening was the podcast was really successful, the live show. So that all became kind of my social media. And I keep saying, like, I want to get back to it because I know there's more I can get from it that will help. Like, I want to raise the awareness of the podcast, of the live show and all that stuff. But I had to say, look, it's not in the cards right now. Like, your bandwidth is shot. What's more important? And it's not like I wasn't posting. Jamie's posting the reels for all the podcast and live show stuff. I hired Jamie personally to make one reel for me a week, which I supply the material for, like my new vlog series where I'm just drawing with a brush with no pencils. And then Jamie will cut 2 social media reels from that. And then the vlog is on my website. So Jamie cuts the reels for that. And the goal is get them to the website onto the newsletter. And get to the news site, you get to watch a 15-minute vlog of me drawing the whole thing with just a brush and hearing me talk about it. And the tattoo reels that we're doing now, again, that's the one a week I have Jamie doing. So I realized a few weeks ago, I can be doing stuff on top of it. I just need a little more space in my mind to really figure out what I want to do. And every now and then I find a little time in my day. Like, I was at the tattoo shop and I still draw. I draw all my tattoos on pencil and paper. And I'm like, I'm the only, like, one of the very few tattoo artists doing that. And Eddie, when he built the shop, put a table in there because he knew that would be me. And I'm on it every time I'm in there. So I just put the camera on the floor and I was at the table and I just filmed it for a second. I was like, this is, this is a good thing to post, but what am I trying to say? And I think it was it was about getting art block, I guess they call it. It was about how to get past art block. And it was like, just move your pencil. Like, it's very simple, but that post did really well. And so I was like, I can do simple stuff like that. Then the next day, it's like I get to my studio. It's like, ship this, do that. And I just can't. So I'll get back to it soon. Once the Kickstarter fulfillment's done, I think I'm going to get a good amount of time back.
That's good. Yeah. Fill that cup because everyone needs it. I don't know if you feel the same. I get so caught up in doing all the reels and the little shorts for promoting podcasts and stuff like that. I tend to feel quite guilty about not actually posting any artwork. And it's not like I'm not doing anything. It's just everything's under wraps because I can't share anything. And then I don't have time to just do like a quick little scribble or something like that. And I just tell myself, like, I can't, I don't have it in me. I'm juggling
and that's
basically
okay.
2 full-time jobs, right?
Yeah, no, and that's okay. Just give yourself some grace there. Like, I mean, if you look at my feed, it's just podcast ads with a piece of art here and there. And it's not that I'm not making art. It's just that I don't have the time to film myself making the art and figuring out what is the purpose of this reel. And I just need to get the art done and get it out because I got another piece waiting for me. Like, but you know, once I'm starting to work on my own book and I have that time back, I know all my social media is going to be just me working on my book. Like, I'm not hiding any step of the process. Like, people will see a panel from my book that won't come out for a year and a half later. Like, that's fine. I want that. I want you invested early on. That's another thing I would say to people is, like, I hear people saying, I don't want to show anyone yet. And like, even like, I think Jim and I had this conversation. She's like, do you think, like, before Savage Street Vigilante, he was like, should I show stuff as I'm working? I was like, and I think we had a guest on the podcast who was like, show everything. Yeah. Those people are going to get so much more invested in what you're doing because they want to see the raw.
They want to see the struggle. They want to see the sketching and the cogs turning and the process that it is, not just like, here's my final product. And it's like, okay.
Right. And then they feel like they were a part of it. Yeah. 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 They're like, I watched this thing be made. I'm in. Like, I want to buy this. Like, yeah.
I've been following that because I'm releasing the first 6 pages of the one that I'm working on for myself. Nice. And I'm just showing it as I'm like adapting it, because even now, like, I've changed the lettering already as I'm learning how to do your lettering better and designing. Yeah. And, you know, like, people just like seeing that. I'm like, look, I've changed this. And then any time that I'm invited on for like live drawing or something, I just whip out a page and start inking it, or, you know, that I've already penciled, and people are already more invested than they ever were for my previous one. Yeah, you know.
That's great. That's great. And that's, I mean, that's what we're going to be doing on INKPULP Live. Honestly, we're just going to be working on their stuff and having a guest on and just talking about art and comics. I think we're going to talk, we're going to have more time to show what we're looking at. Like, that's what I want to see the show more about. Like, dude, I'm working on this panel and it got me thinking about the work of Eduardo Risso. So I went on a little dive and I'll just start opening books and showing. Like, I want it to be more like us talking about the craft of what we're learning from.
And also having someone there to bounce off, like, do you know what would look much better on that panel? Or have you thought about this? Yeah. Having that live bouncing back and forth. Like you said, this job is so much by yourself. It's not like when you go to, like, you know, a corporate job or whatever, and you have those people to bounce ideas off. You still need that.
Yeah, and people
stuck in the house.
People, I forget. It might have been my daughter actually. Where I was like, saw a piece they're doing. I had an idea. I was like, what if you did that? And she was like, that sounds so cool, but that's your idea. I was like, that's not how it works. You do it. Like, Matteo has given me a million ideas. Like, it's just you don't exist in a bubble. To think like any art that anyone produces, to think like this is solely all me, it's insanity. You have influences and inspiration and ideas. I mean, So I think some young artists are confused in that. Like, surround yourself with people you can get feedback from. I think that's
also, don't be afraid to pull from that pool of knowledge. Like, that's just how growth works, right? Community. Yeah. That's how community works. That's how, just growth in general. Anyway.
Absolutely.
Hey, we've hit an hour, which flew by. I really appreciate you coming on and letting me listen to your story, because I think I can say for a lot of people that you've actually given a lot back than you probably, I can't vouch for you, but whether you've received the same amount of love that we feel on our end and the communities. So kudos, you've done such a good job, and the other boys as well.
I thank you for having me on your show. I just feel like I'm part of the community, and if I love to see like what you're doing. I love to see everyone building things, and I just thank you for having me on. And I'm gonna have to come back, Lauren. But we just did an hour like it was nothing, so we've got more to say.
Yeah, like I said, Perth, most isolated city in the world. I need someone to talk to before I go insane. It's only so much a 3-year-old toddler can give me in terms of sanity.
Oh my God. Well, that'll drive you insane. I had 2 of those.
I'm done with 1. Thank you very much. Anyway.
That's good.
Enjoy the rest of your night. I'm about to start my day. opposite
Yeah,
sides of
good
the
luck.
world. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah,
so
but how cool is that? That's
I
so
know,
cool.
I'm in the future. It's amazing. I'll tell you how
Yeah,
it goes.
but this is what, like, I have a podcast with my best friend in Italy, my other best friend on the West Coast, like, and we're all together. Like, that's a
Very cool.
positive of the internet. Well, thanks again for having me on, Lauren.
No problem at all. And thank you all for tuning in. We will chat to you next time. Keep drawing, and we'll see you then. Bye.